Hey everybody, and welcome to my Datacron Set 25 review, the good, the bad, and the awesome. I'll be going over everything about this set from stats to character abilities, as well as focus Datacrons, going in this order. It's an interesting set. Every single character in the game can have a faction ability, and there's no limitation based on alignment, so it's kind of shooting fish in a barrel. There's going to be a lot of possibilities out there, so keep that in mind, and let's start with stats. So interestingly enough, these stats are identical to 4 sets ago, set 21, the last one that was green. And they usually have a pretty similar setup for stats, but this one is identical across the board. So these are the level 7 and 8 values. I have... Oh, missing my label there. I have the bad on the left. The only one I really think is truly bad is crit chance, because most of the characters that you really want to be critting have tons of crit chance already through an ability or just base stats, so it's just really not necessary. Armor pen's going to be good. Crit damage, those are your two damage-based stats. Tenacity and potency. The potency is a really high value. 50 to 75% is very high, but it's kind of a niche value there. And the tenacity is nice, but it's kind of a threshold thing, so you need a ton of it. It's going to be valuable. If you really want tenacity, you want to go for like one cron that's almost all tenacity, and only for a specific purpose. But health and protection, I think, are the most valuable across the board. Every character, no matter if they're a damage dealer, support, tank, whatever, they're going to need some health and protection. So typically when there's a set like this, for me, I'm re-rolling trying to get health protection and armor penetration. Crit damage is like, if it's on a level 7 and 8 and I don't have the re-roll mats for that because they're expensive, it's like, it's okay. But I find myself re-rolling crit chance every single time, potency, and then sometimes tenacity, just trying to get as much health and protection as I can. Now on to alignment abilities. For Dark Side, they didn't get the best draw out of this. Light Side is much stronger. The ones that are good with Dark Side are getting speed up whenever Dark Side ally uses a basic ability, and that's anytime, not just during your turn. So if they assist or counterattack, they're going to get speed up, which is just nice across the board. So it's broad applicability. Pretty much every character wants speed. Some exceptions, but that's going to be a good broad value. And then the other one that's okay is 2% max health damage for a debuff. Dark Side is traditionally more debuff heavy, but it just kind of depends. I would be going for speed up if you have a Dark Side alignment. And since because of the nature of this set, there's not a specific fact. Usually it's you have dark side factions and light side factions. If you really want a certain faction, you're locked behind a certain alignment ability. It's not like that anymore. It is for the characters. You need a certain alignment. But if there's a level 6 you want, you don't have to re-roll just to be able to qualify for it. So I would just re-roll. My strategy would be to re-roll to any good level 3, whether it's dark side or light side, and just move from there. The rest of these are crap. I mean, the accuracy up evasion down. We see that all the time. It's just very niche. Protection up 20% for 2 turns. They've been running with this on and off since like the beginning of Datacrons. It's trash. It's like complete valueless. And I think it's just they leave it in there because they know it sucks. And it's just one you're meant to re-roll off. And then whenever a Dark Side ally days or stun an enemy, which, it happens sometimes, but 10% health and protection recovery, that doesn't cut it anymore. So just not quite good. However, for light side, we have lots to choose from. The one I think that's okay, decent, in the good category is stacking 5% offense when you start with at least 2 buffs. So light side is typically more buff heavy, so there is a greater chance that you will be able to stack offense. It's just a very limited output in that's very slow rate of growth. The crappy ones, whenever light side allies evade an attack, not super frequent occurrence. They got offense up for 1 turn. That's not much, and it's not very long. At the beginning of their turn, light side allies have 25% chance to dispel debuffs on themselves. If it's bugged like it has been before, that could be good when it's a much higher chance, but 25% is just kind of big whoop. But the great ones are starting with 25% turn meter, and then the 15% max and health and protection for each light side ally. We've seen this constantly. They spam this, but it is still great. I think a lot of people that use Datacrons kind of get used to their light side teams being a lot more bulky because this has been ubiquitous. It's been everywhere. But 25% turn meter, max health, 2 of the best level 3s we have available ever in any set traditionally, so pick them up. I'd just try to load up on these and then like dark side speed up if you can. And now for the fun part. These are the faction mechanics. They're broken up into basically rolls tanks, attackers, supports, and healers. And I'll give my ranking for which ones in general, which classes I think are best in this set. Now, we had this in set 16, and since I had a presentation for that before, I went back to check to see what we had on it. Any wall of text that is narrow like this is one I snipped back then when we didn't have the PC client, so you can tell we had this ability in the past. If we didn't have it before and I had to clip it new from the game, it's much wider like this. So these are repeats. The 75% damage reduction if you have over 50% turn meter on a tank, and that's good. I'm starting with a damage meter for 2 turns. That's good, meaning decent, not the best one out there. And then they added 2 crappy ones. Whenever tank allies are stunned, gain 50% turn meter, recover 25% health protection. Not to say that never happens. It's just more situational, so it's not going to be a broad value that's always taking place. And then the first time each tank falls below 50% health, they get damage meter for 1 turn. It's a little bit, but it's just not too much. The one you want to go for, and has, of course, usually the long, wordy abilities are the best ones, and they have multiple clauses, and this is no exception. First time a tank ally is defeated, revive them with 100% health and protection, they gain a bonus turn. Limit once per battle. I read that as, like, if you have 2 tanks, it's only going to work for the first one that would die. So it's like a savior mechanic. Very valuable for a tank in general. Tank allies taunt for 1 turn whenever another ally is inflicted with a debuff. That is a very frequent trigger for a taunt, so it's a near perma taunt, unless they have buff immunity, because it doesn't say it can't be dispelled. Whenever a tank allies taunt, they gain defense up for 1 turn, and 5 crit avoidance stacking until the end of the battle. So you're going to be getting crit avoidance up and up and up, which is quite nice for a tank, and defense up just a tiny little garnish on top. Whenever a tank, and this is the part I like the most, whenever a tank is critically hit while taunting, they recover 15% health and protection. So it's kind of like a nest-ish mechanic. It's not purple protection up, but it's always healing from being hit. Unless they have healing immunity or shock and doubt, that's going to be a lot harder to deal with them, because any critical hit. Whenever a non-tank ally uses a special ability, tank allies assist. So whenever a non-tank ally, so if you have 1 tank on your team, they're going to be assisting like a Geonosian. If the enemy was taunting, deal 250% bonus damage. So I think of this as for really good and strong kind of damage dealing tanks, like, I don't know, Mace Windu, Balin, kinda, Reva, Leia, Ahsoka. That doesn't really hit that hard, but it's nice. They're gonna always be assisting, and this is one of my favorite ones from the set. So tanks, for sure, this is the one to go for. If you can't get this one, I think this is a pretty good value one as well. Next up, we have attackers. I have 2 slides for this because they weren't really going to fit. So none of these were repeats except, well, the bonus turn was a repeat and the riposte is a repeat. So actually, half of these are repeats. But getting a bonus turn when defeating an enemy, that's pretty decent. Your attackers are typically the ones defeating enemies in an extra turn. Who could say no to that? But there's better options. Whenever a debuff on an enemy expires, attacker ally gain 2% offense, doubled if that was dispelled to the end of the battle. So this has a really high ceiling. There's no ceiling, but like the practical ceiling of what you could get to in a match. You get a really debuff heavy team and have some good attackers in there. Their offense can really skyrocket. The only one I ranked as bad is the marked. I mean, there's situations where it could be useful, like you put Han Solo in there. He can ignore taunt for 1 turn, mark someone, and then you can take them out. But it's just very limited application. You'd have to have like an attacker that's ignoring taunts to begin with. If this is really that important, I don't know. It's not locked. It's just not great. Getting riposte whenever you're using a special, that's pretty good. There's attacking out of turn is pretty common in this game, so yeah. Hitting under the protection, quite nice. But the best one for the attackers is, of course, the long one. Whenever an ally inflicts a debuff on an enemy, all attacker allies can accuracy up for 1 turn, big whoop, and 5% offense up to 120%. So that happens pretty quickly. So you don't have to wait for it to dispel. It's just when it's inflicted. So you're going to get there much quicker. It's a cap. It's not like that, the green one I showed. Whenever an attacker ally attacks off turn, they deal bonus true damage. That's quite valuable. We don't know the value of it, but it's typically substantial. Can't be evaded, and they gain 5% defense penetration up to 120% until the end of the battle. So more damage. Whenever an attacker ally uses a special ability, deal 25% more damage for each buff on target enemy. This is kind of new, but think of it like Star Killer's Dispel. His for his repulse or whatever it is. He dispels all buffs from everybody. And this isn't dispelling, but you are getting more damage per buff. So that could stack up quite nicely. And then during attacker's turn, they ignore stealth and taunt if they have no debuff on them. Ignoring stealth is very uncommon. We got like Batcher and not too many other people. No really strong attacker or character is ignoring stealth. So this is going to be a very handy thing. So no one is safe. So I'm really looking forward to seeing this one. I would go for this the most, of course. I mean, some riposte. And then I'd want to see people play around with this because that has high potential as well. But you're safe with going for the wordy crons. Next up, we got healers. And this is crazy. I have another slide, but we have 4 terrible abilities and 1 excellent one. So these were repeats. At the end of each turn, healer allies recover health and protection equal to 50% of the amount enemies recover that turn. And whenever healer allies recover health, they recover protection equal to this amount. Big whoop. Whenever a healer ally damages all enemies with an ability, they grant tenacity up 2 turns to all allies. First of all, there's a very limited number of healers in the game. I have every single one of them shown on the next page, and not many of them have AoEs. So this is just kind of like a copy and paste from a random faction, and it just doesn't, I don't know how, I'm going to count how many actually do AoEs. At the end of their turn, healer allies recover 50% protection if they inflicted at least 5 debuffs that turn. Why is that such a high threshold? 5 debuffs in one turn is difficult. It has to be like an AoE debuff or something like that. So this is all the healers in the game. A screenshot from my main account's roster. There's just not many. At the start of their turn, healer allies inflict healing immunity on enemies for all turns, which can't be dispelled or resisted. That alone is so good. Permanent healing immunity. Whenever a non-healer character is healed by an allied healer, they reduce their cooldowns by 1. Very, very nice. Whenever an ally falls below 25% health for the first time, all allies recover 50% health and 100% protection. That's crazy good. The first time an ally is defeated, revive them with 50% health and protection, health and 2 stacks of heal over time. And it doesn't say once per battle. It says first time an ally. Well, the first time. I don't know if that's 1 ally per battle or each ally. Probably only 1 because it doesn't say the first time each ally. Whenever a healer is critically hit, recover 50% health and protection, kind of like tanks, and get a stack of heal over time to the weakest ally for 2 turns. Quite valuable. The healing immunity, the cooldown reduction, and then all the extra healing is great. For this, I think of like Seven Sister, Kix, IG-12 and Grogu, sometimes Barris. They're all valuable on... they're all player characters on relevant teams currently in the High Kyber one. So I really think of them for that. But like the AoEs, I mean, I think Kix has one. IG-11 has AoE. Visas has an AoE. There's just not many AoEs. So that 1 level 6 is kind of crazy. But yeah, Inquisitors, think of them inflicting healing immunity all the time. You have it with Riva, but even more so than Kix. I wouldn't recommend it if for like as long as we have the pirate datacrons out. So for like the 2 months of this set, I wouldn't use it with like a Muskanata team. But after, sure. This might be the way to go for Bo-Katan. I'm not sure. The healing immunity is the thing that's selling it for me. And Barris you can kind of put anywhere, and she has her level 9 back, so that's going to be really valuable. Get this one, and then get a Barris Cron out of it. Really, really strong. Next up, we got support crons, and last time we had a set like this where it was role-based. Support cron was a lot stronger. It's not really the case anymore. These were repeats. Whenever a support ally grants a buff to an ally, they gain 10% turn meter. It's okay, it's nice. The automatic ability block, if no one has ability block, so whenever you hit someone. Whenever a support ally stuns an enemy, they gain speed up and offense up for 2 turns. Exposed, kind of whatever, too situational. And whenever support allies start their turn with fewer than 2 buffs, all other allies gain 50% turn meter. It's not horrible, but it's just like not worth it because you want to have buffs, and it's just going to be it's on their turn, so it's just going to be very hit or miss. The best one, the longest one, is not as good as the last time we had support crons, but it's still pretty decent. At the start of each encounter, grant all allies evasion up and tenacity up for 2 turns. All right, that's nice. Tenacity down, evasion down on all enemies for 2 turns. So you're starting out with an imbalance of, you know, potency and tenacity checks, which is kind of nice, but it's not overwhelming. Whenever a non-support ally is critically hit, grant them protection up to 100% for 2 turns. It's handy, but if it was a higher amount, I might be more impressed. At the start of their turn, support allies dispel all buffs on all enemies. That's probably one of the most valuable things about this ability. Constantly buff dispelling is great. If evasion up, health steal up, potency up, or tenacity up, which is dispelled, inflict the opposite debuff on them for 2 turns. So they'd be health down. I don't know what the opposite of health steal up would be. Potency down, tenacity down. Whenever support allies critically hit or inflicted with a debuff, they stealth for 1 turn. So the best thing to me, yes, dispelling buffs and tenacity down on the enemy for a couple turns. But I'm not going to be prioritizing this. I would be going for a tank or an attacker or a healer cron over this if we look at the best of each. And just to have a little ranking, I formalized that. So I'd say the one you want that. So we're going to have a large quantity of each of these, or if you're an in-game player and you're trying to pick up a lot of datacrons, you will. I think attackers is the biggest priority to get, because attacker, one is the most common role in the game. There's more attackers than any other type of character, and it's just very important, and they have a pretty good ability. Then tanks, just because there's a few more tanks in the game, that are a lot more tanks in the game that are relevant than healers. However, I really love that healer ability. I think you want 3 or 4 of that worry healer level 6, and then pick some, and then try to diversify your level 9s if you can, which we'll go over. But definitely this order. I think supports are probably the weakest out of this set, unfortunately, because last time they were probably the strongest. Moving on to the level 9 abilities, they're quite wordy, so I'm going to get tired of talking real quick. We got Royal Guard. It's a good in concept. We see this a lot. Lose taunt, remove 50% turn meter from all enemies. There is a potency tenacity check there, and Royal Guard not really in use anymore, so because of the Dark Side clones. But if you do use Royal Guard with Lord Vader, still not a bad ability. Sun Pack, this one's decent, but again, it's Sun Pack, which is why it's not in the awesome category. 100% counter chance is immune to daze and stun. When he attacks out of turn, he dispels all debuffs on himself, deals true damage equal to 50% of max health of the enemy. And then for each debuff dispelled this way, Geonosian allies gain 5% defense, max health, max protection. So he is going to be attacking out of turn a lot, and that is going to try to melt people, but it's still Geonosians. I think for a small mid-game account, you might be able to find use for this. Macabre when Geonosians are kind of extinct. Phasma Malbus. It's kind of all about like the chase dynamic, which I don't know. I don't even know if this would make the most sense on... I mean, it's a throw-in if the tank ability is the best thing for Saul, but I don't know. If True is an ally, whenever Baze or True attack out of turn, they gain 50% crit chance and equalize their health and protection. Change that to crit damage, maybe you have something. Because that's just... Who cares? Like, it's a threshold thing. It's either you crit or you don't. Like, the more your crit chance goes to infinity, it's not really any extra damage. While attacking out of turn, if Baze or Chirrut scores a critical hit, they both occur attempts to have the protection. Okay, kind of big whoop. Baze Malbus has less than 50% health whenever he takes damage. The weakest enemy is dealt 100% of that damage, can't defeat them. So it's a little bit of reflect damage, but it's situational. It's only when he's under 50% health. I don't think it's amazing. Clone Wars Chewie. Whenever he uses a basic on his turn, other allies gain 25% turn meter. If it weren't for the on his turn clause, that you could theory craft it, but Chewie's so bad, it's not really worth putting him on. Even if people are getting a Relic 9 Chewie for cheap. The good ones, 5s. Whenever 5s attacks out of turn, he deals 150% bonus damage, inflicts offense down, and healing immunity for 1 turn on all enemies which can't be evaded or resisted. That alone is fantastic. Offense down and healing immunity, that's great. And then whenever he loses taunt, removes 50% turn meter from all enemies, and inflicts blind on them for 2 turns, which can't be evaded or resisted. This is probably a must-have for a gas team. This is really good. Because if you combine it with that wordy tank, he's going to be assisting a lot whenever anyone else takes a turn, do all that bonus damage, permanent offense down, healing immunity. which is just fantastic. So must have if you have 5 first clones. And then Short Trooper. At the start of the battle, if all allies are Empire or Imperial Trooper, I think it could have just said Empire because aren't all Imperial Troopers Empire? All allies gain 50% health steal, max health, and max protection. Short Trooper gains defense up and taunt for 2 turns. And whenever he loses taunt, recovers 20% health and protection. Or she, like it's supposed to be she. I think. Or I don't know, maybe that's Scout. I just have it mainly because of the 50% max health and max protection on an Empire team. The practical applications are kind of uncertain, but it could be strong. Like on an Iden team, it can make them bulky. And then the taunting is just kind of, it's borderline just good and not awesome, but I just gave it the nudge. And for attackers, we also have 2 screens for this one. Not a ton of attacker abilities. Resistance Trooper is one that's decent. I don't know if it merits putting Resistance Trooper in the Zori team. Whenever he uses basic, he exposes target enemy for 2 turns. When he attacks an exposed enemy, all other allies gain 20% turn meter. And if he has a 50% chance to attack again, expose a random enemy. Or if he falls below half health for the first time, he gets damage, immunity, health steal up, and evasion up. So that could lend itself well to, you know, a turn meter train on a Zori team. So I don't know. I think there's a focus Datacron that people want to go for that team instead. We'll get to that later. This one's bad. Whenever Count Dooku gains stealth, recovers 100% protection. They have 2 for Dooku. I'm not sure why. Lando, whenever he scores a critical hit, bonus damage for double down is increased by 25 for the rest of the encounter. Big whoop. Who cares? He's bad. That doesn't help make him viable. To Darth Vader. So this is kind of like the best part of his focus Datacron, just isolated and given freedom. At the start of the battle, if there are no GL allies, Vader can't be defeated until all other allies are defeated. Whenever another ally is defeated, Darth Vader dispels all debuffs on himself, resets his cooldown, snakes up on his turn. That's going to be pretty nice on defense. He's going to have just free reign to just, I don't know, wreak havoc on him. I think of like a Traya team, because you can't kill him first. You got to go through everyone else. And in the meantime, he's going to just be running roughshod over you and at the very least stealing banners. I don't know what offensive applications it has. I don't think it's like any kind of GL killer or S tier team killer, but still pretty nice. And then he has extra health steal for each defeated ally, which if it was protection steal, I don't know. I don't know. It's kind of health steals, whatever. But I think it's great. I think Traya on defense. Yeah, I mean, there's a Quran you could put with Traya, but I think that one, I will use that elsewhere. That's a focus Datacron. We'll get into that. But on defense, that could be quite annoying. Count Dooku. He has... We've had this before. It's a repeat. It's an identical repeat, and it was good back then. He has 200% crit chance of crit damage while he's inflicted with a debuff. Whenever a Separatist ally uses a special on their turn, he assists and dispels all buffs on the target enemy. At the end of his turn, Dooku is inflicted with disarm until the end of his next turn. Whenever Count Dooku takes damage during his turn, the weakest enemy is dealt 200% of this damage, which can't defeat them. So it's just a nice add-on. I think it's going to be most viable in TW, where Trench has his Omicron, but still pretty strong in general. That is the attackers. Next up, we got the healers. A couple pages of abilities here. Jedi Consular at the top. So players that have been playing over a year or so, or the last time set 16 was out, I think, might remember Jedi Consular having a cron that was long and made him really good. This is not that same cron. That one had like 7 clauses, and this has 3. It's decent, but it's not killer, and it might not make him worthwhile. While he's active, allies are immune to healing immunity, which is nice. That's a nice add-on. Whenever he uses an ability, all allies recover 50% health and protection. Weakest allies get an additional 10% health and protection. Okay, that doesn't really sell him yet. Whenever Jedi Consular uses his healing ability, revive all defeated allies at 100% health and protection. I don't think this makes him worth using, because the other one had a ton of extra stuff, and it was actually pretty good. But this just doesn't quite have enough to make a really bad character usable. Kind of similar with Luminara. Whenever an enemy attacks our turn, all allies are inflicted with protection disruption for 2 turns. Well, I mean, that is a lot more persuasive than this. Which can't be dispelled, evaded, or resisted, and all allies get a stack of heal over time, protection over time for 2 turns. At the start of Luminara and Nduli's turn, allies with less than 50% health can heal over time for 2 turns. So mainly it is the protection disruption for 2 turns. However, that's not... If you put this on defense and you still die to a bunch of characters with protection disruption, you weren't able to kill them, they're going to get max banners for that because they don't have any protection that they would have lost as long as they are full health. I don't know the use case for this. That ability is crazy. It's good. I just don't know the use case. So I'm saying it's good, but it's not awesome. Talia, both are bad because she's a bad character. First time she falls below 3% health. I don't know why they keep using this one. It's definitely like a reroll bait. Dispel debuffs on themselves, recover 40% health again bonus turn. Oh wow, Talia will save us. Good, great. Get in there, Talia. And she gains 15% turn meter when other allies use a special ability on their turn. Great, again. Oh, here comes Talia. Let's round of applause. And then why? It's 20% damage reflection when he's hit. You don't have to kill Watt to win, and I don't know, 20% is not a lot, so just not a great ability. However, we have a great one. It's not a new one. Daka first, it's okay. Whenever another ally is defeated, it takes a bonus turn. Their cooldowns are reset. OG Night Sisters not really viable in Kyber anymore at a lower tier. This could be pretty annoying, so I'll give it the good mark. She'll be reviving all the time. You really got to take her out. And on offense, it could be pretty useful too. So, but Barris, all top players. We're a few days into this Datacron. It's not even farmable yet in Conquest or anything. I was checking a bunch of top players. They're all zooming towards Barris with the wordy level 6 and the bulky level 3. It's gonna be crazy and ugly and disgusting. First time Barris is defeated if there's at least one other active ally. Revive all other defeated allies, and other allies recover 100% health and protection, gain 100% turn meter, 100% offense. So you basically need to kill her last. So you're going to be stuck with her. And all the while, let me get back to that healer thing. All the while, you're going to have to deal with healing immunity on all allies. Health and protection recovery. Revive them. It's just, I don't know how we're going to deal with it unless Malicos can just destroy Barris on a Ray team. It's just going to be Ray with Barris all over again. It's not a happy prospect, but this one is insane. Probably the best one of the best combos we've ever had. All right, and lastly, for the factions, we have support level 9s, 2 very long ones that seem like they might be good, but they do not make the characters worthwhile. And yes, Biggs is a support character. He seems like an attacker, but he is a support in the game. At start of the battle, Ugnaught has 30% evasion. Okay, who cares? You're Ugnaught. Start of each encounter, inflict bleach and health down on all enemies for 2 turns. Can't be evaded or resisted. Okay, it's not like it's healing immunity and death mark. It's okay. For each droid enemy, leaning into his anti-droid theme, Ugnaught has 20% counter chance. Okay, great. He'll attack. Oh, that's good. Crit chance, defense, health steal max, health max protection. Start of his turn, Ugnaught dispels all debuffs on himself and resets all his cooldowns. Oh, good. Oh, yes, he'll be able to use his special that does who knows what. Nothing valuable. Whenever Ugnaught evades an attack, all enemies lose 10% protection. Okay, great. Whenever it damages a stunned enemy, why so specific and limited? He inflicts 2 damage stacks of damage over time whenever he damages an enemy with more than 5 buffs. So many qualifiers for such a bad character. Dispel all the buffs from target enemy. Can't just dispel, like you can't just give it to him. And all enemies are inflicted with a stack of 2 damage over time. So many words to do so little. Someone took the time to come up with a really long ability that sucks. Don't bother. Biggs. At the start of the battle, if Wedge and Tilly's is an ally, so okay, right there, you have to use Biggs and Wedge. Not a good start. Biggs gains 50% max health, max protection. Whenever he damages an enemy, defense down vulnerable. Okay, big whoop. When Wedge assists, deals 50% bonus damage and a 75% chance to attack a second time. Dealing 100% bonus damage, 50% chance to attack the third time, dealing 200%. Still, it's not a lot for Biggs and Wedge, I don't think. Could this be good on Assault? I don't know. Maybe. I could be surprised. Whenever an ally attacks at a turn, Biggs gains 5% turn meter. It's just much ado about nothing. It's a lot of words, and it's not making it worthwhile. Ayla, another seemingly attacker, but it is a support. Whenever she attacks on a turn, gains stack of heal over time, protection over time, inflicts the enemy with protection disruption. The only reason it's in the good category is because she has a solid place on the Jedi Master Mace team. And there's no other Cron that really stands out for them, so might as well pick it up. And then whenever Qui-Gon Jinn damages an enemy with a special, it's like the Armor Shred, and then the Explosive hit, someone with Armor Shred, and Protection up for Qui-Gon. It's okay, but he's not really there to do damage. You mainly, well, you could mod him. Some people either mod him really fast or just hunt tons of offense to pass out when he dies, but I'm not gonna be trying to get that. Akbar, whenever you use the basic, all other allies get 25% turn meter. Kind of like Clone Wars Chewie, if it was not just on his turn, maybe there's some theory crafting, but no, not good. Cad Bane, there's 3 different ones for him, it looks like. I don't know why, because they each have dots, and they're each bad. Whenever another ally uses an ability, he assists, dealing 50% more damage. Okay, great. When he goes down below 100% health, recover 100% health and protection, gain 100% turn meter. Great. Who cares if Cad Bane's taking a turn or survives? You don't even need him. You don't want him on your team. Whenever Cad Bane deals damage to an enemy, remove 25% turn meter from that enemy. He does his double hit. He can remove 50% turn meter, but doesn't make him worthwhile. There's no awesome abilities in the support faction. It's just, that's why I ranked it last. So last thing before I get to focus datacrons is reroll priorities. I think your main priority has to be getting the good level 6 abilities. Alignment's kind of second because you want that speed up for dark side or the turn meter or health and protection for light side. Stats are kind of in third because, I mean, for reroll to the good ones, roll off with a crit chance. And characters, I put at like the last priority. There's some great ones. I mean, like Barriss is the biggest standout. But there's not too much you absolutely have to get. It's mainly about the faction ones because you can use it across the entire game. Every character in existence can have a faction ability applied to them. So that's where I think you really need to focus. And speaking of focus, time for focused datacrons. And here we go. So the kind of the theme of this set of focused datacrons is a random mishmash of characters, or seemingly random, a bunch of characters that were relevant towards the beginning of this game and might have been hodgepodge together but don't really go together anymore. I read a lot of these focus datacrons as kind of take your pick of the abilities. Like each one could fit into a team, and you can take it and use it in that form or fashion that you want. You don't have to like have all these characters on one team. This one is, a decent example. I've highlighted the ones I think are the best character abilities that would make the most sense in like bright green. But I think every focus datacron is kind of good in this one, or at least decent. So this is a level 9 ability. So it's cheap. Pick it up for, it should be 2,000 episode currency for Datacron, and a lot cheaper to level up all the way. But you get 80% offense, 75% health, armor pen. I said health armor pen, but armor pen. 20% health, 50% crit damage, and 25% crit chance. So Geo Soldier, whenever an enemy takes a turn, he takes a bonus turn. Deals 100% damage on that bonus turn. So that could be really useful or annoying for a small account that has decent geos. It's just whenever he takes a bonus turn, you're going to get a big old swarm attack. It's just going to be really annoying to deal with. And then kind of the normal counter of Darth Vader for geos that a lot of people can use early game. Anytime Vader takes a turn, Soldier's going to take a turn. So that could be really annoying. The Stick Ray, whenever an ally takes a bonus turn, all allies go. It's just that is so conditional whenever an ally takes a bonus turn. So I'm not even going to, it's like I don't even want to read further than that. Maybe you can find some really special niche application, but I doubt it. Then Phasma. Phasma was a very popular lead at the very beginning of the game. When I played for a few months, it was just because like random allies could assist. And it wasn't just first order, so. But during Captain Phasma's turn, she dispels all debuffs on all allies. If debuffs are dispelled this way, they gain advantage. Start of ancient counter. If Phasma's in the lead, all allies gain 100% max health and max protection, 200% defense. That is some survivability. A lot of survivability. Whenever another ally uses an ability during their turn, Ray assists if she has no debuffs. Or if an ally attacks their turn, they remove 50% turn meter from the target enemy and protection disruption. So The bad news is Phasma lead is kind of like a non-starter for an endgame account. Maybe early game TW, this could be useful, but this is more of an early game set of abilities where it could be valuable, or early mid game. I'm probably just going to use it as a datacron, so which is, you know, not a bad use. Next one is an HK cron, or that'll be the logo you see, but I think you're going to want to use it with Zori because of Poe's ability. I'm not going to read all these. They're super long, and I want to take forever on this. The one thing that stands out, they're trying to force you to do a droid team with this. This is kind of a team they want to go together. I think this was like an early game team built around turn meter manipulation. Because I think HK's lead, if you crit, you gain turn meter or something. And Poggle kind of goes with droids somewhat. But this ability doesn't really help Geos that much. The one thing that's interesting to me is IG-86, whenever he crits an enemy, he's going to inflict Death Mark, which can't be dispelled or evaded. If they're already Death Marked, he gains Protect Sharp Retribution. It's just like a Death Mark is interesting, but none of this is enough to force you to make a HK-47 league team. So, whatever, I'm not going to read all of it. For Poe, at the start of each encounter, Poe inflicts fear on all enemies. Can't be evaded, dispelled, prevented, or resisted. What? He just exists, and everyone is feared on the other team. It could have some plug and play viability. I think Zori, he's kind of a natural fit anyway. Yeah, I think that's going to be really interesting on a Zori team. Everyone starts with fear? What? That's crazy. And you're going to pop it with an AoE, and then they'll get to take their turn, but they'll have their cooldowns increased. It's just great. Reading on. And exposes them for 2 turns. So starting out with the expose. Already another great thing for the Zori team. Whenever taunt expires on Poe, all enemies are inflicted with fear for 1 turn. Again, and allies gain 20% turn meter. Whenever Poe is critically hit while taunting, he gains protection up for 1 turn. Whenever a buff expires on another ally, Poe taunts for 1 turn. So I don't know what's really the best thing to use on them. Like a GL or Bane or something. Like, it's gonna be hard. You're starting with fear. That's crazy on an already decent team. And Zori is a team that's pretty resilient to Relic Delta with all the exposes. So keep an eye out on Poe. It's also got great stats. 150% defense, 75% potency, which really helps with Zori. 115% crit damage, 45% tenacity, and 45% crit chance. The highlight is the defense, and then the crit damage too. Keep an eye on Zori. This one's going to be really good. Next up is the Boba Fett cron, and there was one misreading I initially had that made me think it was going to be better than it was and might fit on a Java team. It is all kind of geared towards having Boba in lead, which I don't think is going to be worth it for a lot of players unless you're pretty early on. And this is what he kind of reads off. And if it is written wrong, my source is swigga.gg. If it's wrong, it's swigga.gg. This could be good with Java, but it says, at the start of his turn, Boba Fett dispels all buffs on all allies and gives them defense up, heal over time, and speed up. I don't know why he's dispelling all buffs from all allies. If it was dispelling all debuffs, he would be a nice shoe-in for a Java team. But dispelling all buffs? Come on. For each enemy with a thermal, they lose defense and tenacity. And when an ally is critically hit, the game protection up to 25% for 1 turn. If he's in the lead, all allies gain 200% defense. Whenever enemies take damage from thermals, they recover health and protection, 10%. Turn meter, 10%. And if there's an 80% chance with a thermal, then enemies inflict with the thermal. I don't think it's worth using him in lead. And then Zam, she critically hits a Fable. Who cares? She doesn't do much damage. When she's defeated, if there are any active allies, she recovers with 100% health and stealth for 3 turns. Again, it keeps her Omicron alive, but weh. Whenever she inflicts an enemy with thermal detonator, she gains 10% offense and defense for the rest of the encounters and chance for an extra thermal. So it's kind of a lackluster coordination trying to get thermals. The one I can see the most value in is Dengar going with a Balin team, just as a mercenary, because he inflicts doubt on all enemies for 2 turns, which can't be evaded or dispel or resist. So that's a pretty powerful thing. Locked doubt for 2 turns. So that's the most valuable thing in this. Whenever he attacks or resists, when an enemy evades his attack or resists a debuff, all enemies are inflicted with damage over time and thermal detonators. So he's going to be handing out thermals, and locked doubt at the beginning is pretty nice. And he's not like a unusable character. He's kind of weak, but he hides himself and he does his AoE thermals. I think it's He's going to be nice on a Balin team. Crit damage 50%, defense 75%, armor pen 105%, offense 80%. So great stats. So I think this one merits good, even though the Boba Fett theory kind of doesn't really pan out. And then last but not least, the awesome one. So the stats are great. 65% health, 105% potency, 45% tenacity, 145% defense, 50% offense. It is one of the level 15s. It's not, I think there's 2 level 15s, 2 level 9s, which is nice. I prefer the 9s. 2 main options for where you're going to want to use, but everything has some kind of option, and they're all kind of nice standalone abilities. What I think a lot of people will find valuable and will be popular is Nihilus. At the start of each encounter, if there's another support ally, Traya, he gains 100% max health and max protection for the rest of the encounter. Nice, good start. Whenever he reduces cooldowns for each cooldown reduced, he gains 25% turn meter and 50% offense. You don't really care about his offense. Stacking for the rest of the encounter. Well, I guess he could. I guess he could start doing damage. So maybe he could. I don't know. Give him enough time. So yeah, maybe that is pretty compelling. The turn meter is nice. I mean, he has really low damage multipliers. He's all about the insta-kill. So I think of it more as utilitarian, like support function, not like a damage function, but who knows. Whenever he defeats an enemy, expose all enemies, can't be evaded or resisted. When he inflicts damage over time on an enemy, he's going to heal over time. Whenever he attacks out of turn, his cooldowns for Annihilate are reduced by 1. Now, I don't know when he's attacking out of turn on a Traya team, but alright. Maybe just with Sith Eternal, I guess. R2-D2. This is the one I like. I'll be probably using it on my GoTanks account or my main account on offense. Whenever R2 uses a basic, gains 50% protection up. So nice, keeps him alive. And 50% turn meter. That's pretty nice. That's going to be a lot of turn meter because he assists Leia whenever she does a special. Whenever he damages an enemy with a special, which he has an unavoidable AoE, inflict fear. So it's going to be unavoidable AoE fear with his burning. And then he's getting a damage immunity from that. I think that's quite valuable on a really good team already. That or Nihilus is where I'd use it. So Thrawn also has one. When he resists the debuff, all allies recover 10% health and protection and gain 20% health steal to the end of the battle. When he attacks out of turn, he ignores protection. If an enemy is inflicted with burning, he deals 100% bonus damage and removes 100% turn rate, which can't be dispelled or resisted. That's kind of meant to build into this team, because like burning from R2, I don't really see it as valuable. Rex, if he's in the lead, all allies gain 200% defense. Whenever another ally uses a special ability, he assists, which doesn't really matter. His basic isn't great. During his turn, if an ally is inflicted with Daze, Stun, or Ability Block, dispel it and inflict protection disruption for 2 turns from all enemies, which is quite nice. If he has to be in the lead, that's kind of useless, because any team with him leading is not going to be great, but I don't know. Whenever an ally is inflicted with a debuff, all allies gain 10% turn meter. That's nice. Whenever an ally loses a stack of protection over time, they gain Foresight for 1 turn. None of it's worth him being in the lead. GK. This would be great if not for one clause. At the start of the battle, if there are no Galactic Legend allies. So if you could just put this on a JMK team, you might have something, but here it is. Whenever GK taunts, all allies gain protection over time, 75% for 2 turns. That's quite a lot. Whenever he loses taunt, all allies recover 50% health and protection, gain defense up for 1 turn. Whenever GK attacks during his turn, if he has Foresight, all other allies assist, doing 50% more damage to the target enemy. That's quite nice. He hands out Foresight on his basic. You could get a lot of value out of that. I could get value out of that on my GoTanks account because I don't have a GL to put him with. And I use him with like Jedi Revan and Yoda, who pass out Foresight like candy, but I still probably would lean towards R2. First time another ally falls below half health, GK taunts for 2 turns. If he was already taunting, he gets damage immunity for 1 turn. So a lot there. It's pretty valuable. So it takes a long time to read through, but I would highlight Nihilus and R2. I'm interested to see if Nihilus just does how much damage Nihilus does. But in theory, on defense, it has limited applicability. On defense, I usually just use Sith Eternal anyway against them. I mean, for my small account, I'd be screwed there. But usually Sith Eternal's a counter because Darkside GLs shut off Traya's. Omicron, the only way Nihilus does much damage is with the Omicron, and he's just going to get insta-killed anyway, and you can't insta-kill Sith Eternal, so limited applicability on defense. On offense, is he going to do something against light side GLs? I don't know. JMK, no chance. Well, I don't know. Maybe there's some chance, but it's doubtful. JML, yes, I think you could probably beat JML with this, but people don't say that on defense. So kind of limiting it to light side GLs. Ahsoka, I don't think so. I really don't think so, but I don't know who. You'd have to have a ton of damage to kill Ahsoka. But I'd be interested to see. And then Rey, I really don't. I don't think so. You're not gonna get his health and protections, his health stacked to the ceiling because there's not a lot of debuffs. She's gonna whirlwind his whole team and then ult him to death. So I don't really see it. I don't know. The application is limited, but it is a really good ability in theory. So that is it for this one. Pretty long video, but it's a big set, a lot to cover. It's going to be interesting having every single character in the game have potential to have a viable Datacron. Let me know what you think. Is there anything I missed? There's a ton of theory crafting potential. I can't even begin to start getting into all of it, but I'd love to hear what you have to say about it. All right, thanks so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed. See ya.